Right now, U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe are holding a joint press conference in Tokyo. Let's listen in.
And Madame Melania, as our first state guests in the era of Heisei, they are my dearest friends for myself and for my wife. With President Trump, we had the summit talk last month at White House, and we celebrated Melania's birthday together, didn't we? Next month, he will be visiting Japan again in order to come to the G20 Osaka summit. Because of the peace and security legislation, U.S. and Japan have become an alliance where we can help one another. The bond has become rock solid. Because of the very close personal relationship with Donald, the bond of U.S.-Japan alliance has become unshakable, the closest in the whole world. In the new era of Reiwa, U.S. and Japan must lead for the peace and prosperity of the region and international community as the genuinely global partners. This visit of President and Madame Trump to Japan is a golden opportunity to clearly show the unshakable bond to the whole world and inside Japan as well. I'd like to express my gratitude to the friendship of President Trump and Madame First Lady. At the summit talk today, bearing in mind of the latest North Korean situation, we spent a good amount of time in better aligning our policies. The positions of Japan and the United States in this regard are completely on the same page. President Trump and Madame Melania continue to meet the family members of the abduction victims. Just like 2 years ago when they visited Japan, they encouraged and gave comfort to the members of the victims. Toward the resolution of the most important abduction issue, at the earliest possible timing is what I am hoping for, and I'm determined that I have to face Chairman Kim Jong-un myself directly. Without any conditions, I will meet with the chairman, and I would like to have a discussion frankly, in complete candor. President Trump has expressed strong support to my determination as such by saying that he would support me totally and would not spare any efforts in assisting me. Continuously, we will have the close collaboration between the two countries. We shall missing no opportunities and look toward the early resolution of the abduction issue. We will act resolutely. In today's summit meeting, we welcomed the steady progress of U.S.-Japan cooperation looking toward the creation of free and open Indo-Pacific, including the areas such as energy, digital, and infrastructure. Going forward, we will walk hand in hand and promote the cooperation for the realization of this common vision of our two nations. We will be promoting the idea forcefully. With the countries concerned like Australia, India, ASEAN, UK, and France, we will fortify the cooperation toward the realization of a free and open Indo-Pacific. We will enhance and expand our efforts. We agreed on that. Since President Trump came to the office, Japanese companies decided on new investment to the tune of $24 billion to the United States, thereby creating 45,000 new jobs. Daring tax reform that President conducted, thanks to that, automotive and energy-related Japanese companies are making investment in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Alabama, and Kentucky, and others. They have decided to make new investments. Those contributing most in the U.S. economy are the Japanese companies. It's been only 1 month since the last summit talks. In a short span of 1 month, Japanese companies increased their investment to the United States by $1 billion. With this vigorous investment appetite, Japanese companies are deciding to make investment to the United States one after another. U.S.-Japan economic relationship is developing in a major way in a modality of bringing in win-win situations. Following the joint statement of September last year, Minister Motegi and Ambassador Lighthizer, USTR, are proceeding with the discussion, and I welcome this discussion. In today's talks between myself and President Trump, we should achieve early outcome based upon the trustful relationship between our two nations. We shall accelerate the pace of discussion. We agreed on that. Next month at G20 Osaka Summit, President Trump, I am going to welcome him again in Osaka. Looking forward to it. For the success of G20 Summit, U.S.-Japan cooperation is indispensable. I will continue to collaborate closely with President Trump. Yesterday, I was able to talk with President Trump on a variety of issues in a relaxed atmosphere, like the game of golf, watching sumo wrestling, as well as the dinner where our spouses joined. The friendship and trustful relationship was even more enhanced. The exuberance of joy shown by the crowd that I witnessed in the stadium, as well as the frenzied excitement of the general public when presidential cup was handed to Asanoyama, the champion. Indeed, a new page was added to the prestigious history of sumo. Donald, I thank you very much. Tomorrow, together with President Trump, I will go to Yokosuka and visit our escort ship anchored in Yokosuka and show the strong bond of U.S.-Japan alliance to the people in Japan and the world. Lastly, once again, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Donald and Madame Melania for honoring us with your visit to Japan as the first state guest of the new era of Reiwa. Thank you. Then, President Trump of the United States, floor is yours.
Prime Minister Abe, the First Lady and I are profoundly honored to return to this very beautiful nation as Japan's first state guest following the enthronement of His Majesty, the Emperor. On behalf of the United States, we want to thank the imperial family for this gracious invitation and warm welcome. It was really wonderful. Melania and I are thrilled to be back in the land of the rising sun. It is a true privilege to take part in the splendor of this historic moment and to witness an ancient Japanese tradition as you begin the new imperial era. We look forward to seeing the new emperor continue his father's extraordinary legacy. Yesterday, Melania and I were delighted to join you, Prime Minister, in attending a sumo tournament. I've always wanted to see a sumo tournament, so true. And they are bigger and stronger than I even thought. At your very impressive and new national arena, where I presented the first ever U.S. President's Cup to the sumo grand champion. That was something. This morning, we participated in a magnificent welcome ceremony with their majesties, the Emperor and Empress, at the Grand Imperial Palace. Japan's time-honored customs and exquisite culture fill us with a deep sense of admiration. I want to thank all of the people of Japan for welcoming us to this week and sharing your beloved heritage. It is truly an incredible heritage. This visit has also been a chance for Prime Minister Abe and me to strengthen our close friendship and the friendship between our two nations. The alliance between the United States and Japan is a cornerstone of stability and prosperity in the region and all around the world. The Prime Minister and I continue our close consultation in pursuit of peace and security on the Korean Peninsula. The essence of our approach is peace through strength. And this is a strong alliance indeed. The U.S.-Japan alliance is steadfast and ironclad. We want peace and we want stability. We continue to hope that Chairman Kim seizes the opportunity to transform his country through denuclearization. It is a country with tremendous economic and other potential. The United States also remains committed to the issue of abductions, which I know is a top priority for Prime Minister Abe. Earlier today, I met for the second time with a group of Japanese families who have suffered the unthinkable heartbreak of having their loved ones abducted by North Korea. The United States will continue to support Japan's efforts to bring these abductees home. Our nations are also cooperating on a number of other vital security issues. The United States supports Japan's efforts to improve its defense capabilities, and in recent months we have greatly expedited the sale of large amounts of defense equipment to Japan made in the United States. We make the best equipment in the world. In 2018, Japan was one of the world's top purchasers of American defense equipment, and it has just announced its intent to purchase 105 brand new F-35 stealth aircraft. Stealth because the fact is you can't see them. This purchase would give Japan the largest F-35 fleet of any U.S. ally. America and Japan's close security ties are grounded in shared values. Our armed forces train and serve together all around the world. Tomorrow I will visit American troops stationed alongside the Japanese self-defense forces right here in Japan. On behalf of all Americans, I want to thank the Japanese people for graciously hosting our service members and military families. The United States and Japan are also working to improve our economic relationship based on the principles of fairness and reciprocity. We are currently negotiating a bilateral trade agreement that would benefit both of our economies. Our goal is to reduce our trade deficit with Japan, remove trade barriers and barriers of all kinds, so that U.S. exports will really have a fair and very profound footing. Just over 1 week ago, U.S. beef gained full access to Japanese markets for the first time since 2003. We hope to have even more to announce on the trade very, very soon. And finally, today I am pleased to confirm that Prime Minister Abe and I have agreed to dramatically expand our nation's cooperation in human space exploration. Japan will join our mission to send U.S. astronauts to space. We'll be going to the moon. We'll be going to Mars very soon. It's very exciting. And from a military standpoint, there is nothing more important right now than space. This is an exciting starting point for greater collaboration on many other things. Mr. Prime Minister, our visit this week is a moving reminder of the strength of the U.S.-Japan alliance and the deep friendship between our people. It is a profound honor to be in Japan at this important moment in your nation's history. For this new imperial era, your nation has chosen the name Reiwa, meaning beautiful harmony. America shares this wonderful aspiration for the future, and I look forward to continuing our tremendous partnership as we work together to bring this noble vision to life. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now the floor is open for accepting questions. Japanese media first, followed by the press entourage accompanying the president. Japanese person, please raise your hand and recognized by me. Regarding the American press, Ms. Sanders from U.S. will decide the questions. First, the questions from the Japanese media, please. Kuribayashi from Yomiuri newspaper. I have a question to Prime Minister Abe on abduction. Japan-Korea summit meeting. Do you think that the problem would be resolved in one-time meeting with the Chairman Kim, or do you have to go through plural number of meetings in order to seek solution? By what time frame would you like to realize the summit talk? Is it going to happen by the end of this year? In that sense, in that case, could there be tripartite discussion involving U.S. as well? Regarding the relationship with North Korea, first of all, I have to note the fact that President Trump cracked open the shell of distrust with Chairman Kim Jong-un, shared the bright future beyond the denuclearization and urging North Korea to act. It's a new approach. I'd like to pay tribute to his new approach. Most important thing is the solution of abduction issue. And it means that I'm resolved that I have to directly see Chairman Kim face to face. Without attaching any conditions, I meet him, and then frankly, and I must have discussion in complete candor. At the summit talk today, to my resolution as such, President Trump expressed that he will give all-out support. He will spare no efforts in rendering assistance to my efforts. It was a very strong support. President Trump and family members of abducted victims had a meeting, and President Trump would look into the eyes of the family members directly, and he was listening to the remarks very seriously. We have to resolve this abduction issue. This is the thought that I have, which was shared by President Trump. Once again, looking toward the resolution of abduction issue, I'd like to pay tribute and gratitude to the lavish understanding and support. Now, including the points that you asked, on the topic of a summit talk between Japan and North Korea, as of now, there is no specific goal in sight. But based upon the Japan-North Korea Pyongyang declaration, we want to solve comprehensive issues, pending issues like abduction, nuclear missiles. We must come to terms with the unfortunate past, and we must normalize the diplomatic relations. This line is unchanged. Abduction issue is the most important issue for Abe administration. Family members of abductees have advanced in their age. As the president of LDP, I have a certain term your question sort of implied. And also, a one-time meeting could resolve the issue, you asked. Irrespective of my term in office, I have to do everything I can, all-out efforts of myself for the resolution of this issue. As the Prime Minister, I have responsibility as such. Going forward, I will discharge this responsibility, and in order to do that, as the Prime Minister, day in and day out, I will do my best, and all-out efforts I will endeavor.
The United States' first question will go to Vivian Salma of the Wall Street Journal.
Thanks, Sarah. Mr. President, Prime Minister. Mr. President, I hope you'll indulge me with two questions since we're far from home. The first one is, so if Kim Jong-un is not violating his promise to you by firing small weapons, as you said in your tweet yesterday, what would you consider a violation exactly? Well,
first of all, let me say that I think that Kim Jong-un, or Chairman Kim, as some people say, is looking to create a nation that has great strength economically. I think he's very much, I talked to him a lot about it, and he's very much into the fact that he believes, like I do, that North Korea has tremendous economic potential, like perhaps few other developing nations anywhere in the world. And I think that he is looking to develop that way. He knows that with nuclear, that's never going to happen. Only bad can happen. He understands that. He is a very smart man. He gets it well. So I think that he is he is going to try at some point. I'm in no rush at all. The sanctions remain. We have our hostages back. We, as you know, are getting the remains, continuing to get the remains. A lot of good things are happening. And very importantly, there's been no nuclear testing for 2 years. I looked at a chart the other day. During the past administration, there were many numbers that were very high, like 10 and 12 and 18, having to do with missile launches and nuclear testing. And for the last 2 years on the bottom, it had 0 and 0. So I am very happy with the way it's going. And intelligent people agree with me.
You're not bothered at all by the small missiles?
No, I'm not. I am personally not.
Okay, thank you. One more question, Mr. President. Last week, you declared that you won't work with Democrats in Congress until they stop investigating you. So how are you going to explain to your voters when it comes at the expense of some of the promises that you made to them?
Well, there's never been a president more transparent. The Mueller report came out, no obstruction, no collusion, no nothing. It's a beautiful report. The Democrats cannot understand what happened. They really thought they had some people on their side because, as you know, the people doing the investigation were 18 extremely angry Democrats, many of whom worked for Hillary Clinton and supported Hillary Clinton. And Bob Mueller, I guess you could say he wasn't a friend of mine, but he did something that was really the right thing to do. They were very disappointed. They can't get over the fact that never spoke to Russia, never dealt with Russia, having to do with the subject we're talking about. And I will say this, that without question, we have done a job like few presidents have done. The only thing you can say about me that some people may not like is that I've created one of the greatest economies anywhere in the world. In fact, when I first met yesterday with Prime Minister Abe, the first thing he did was congratulate me on the incredible economy that we have in the United States. So I think that we will work with them. We have a USMCA, we have a deal with Canada and Mexico that everybody wants. I think it's all done, and I think they probably want to be doing that. As you know, Ambassador Lighthizer is here right now. That's a deal that's gotten universal praise. Unions love it, farmers love it, manufacturers love it. You won't have companies leaving and going to Mexico and going to Canada and going like they were for many, many years. It's a great deal. I would imagine that Nancy Pelosi will approve that. I would think it would be very hard not to, but we'll see. But certainly as things get approved, I would love to sign them. It's only good for our country. I'm only interested in what's good for our country. It's very important. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister, I hope you'll also indulge me with 2 questions since I'm far from home. Did you get any reassurances today from President Trump that he will not impose tariffs on cars or auto parts 6 months from now?
I want to hear this answer too.
Well, last year in September, between President Trump and I agreed on joint statement regarding including auto and auto parts. Currently, based upon the joint statement of September, Minister Motegi and Ambassador Lighthizer are discussing and talking about this matter. So we agreed to accelerate the talk as such. That was the agreement I reached with President Trump.
My second question? So I left my translator, so.
That's about 4.
Yeah.
I think probably that's enough. I think your compatriots will not be happy with another question.
All right.
Thank you very much.
それでは再び日本のメディアの方に質問をお受けいたします。
Once again, a question from Japanese media, please.
Well, that's US President Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe addressing media after their bilateral talks and a working lunch. Abe has described the alliance between the US and Japan as unshakable, the closest in the whole world, saying their policies are completely on the same page. Trump, for his part, said their strong alliance is steadfast and ironclad. Both men say they'll continue to work closely to ensure peace and security on the Korean Peninsula and in the region. Abe is offering to meet Kim Jong-un without conditions. There's also been talk of trade and cooperation on space exploration. Well, our Wayne Hay is live in Tokyo, where he's also been listening in. Wayne, no surprises there?
No, there didn't appear to be, and certainly no commitment, as we spoke about earlier, on a trade deal. We were told not to expect any significant announcements on a trade deal. In fact, Donald Trump himself said a few hours ago, before the bilateral meeting with Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, that he wouldn't expect any significant deal to be announced until August. That is, of course, after Japan has an upper house election. The feeling was that Shinzo Abe would not want to make any significant concessions to the United States in this trade deal because it may risk losing voters in that election. Certainly we heard a lot in that opening statement from the Japanese Prime Minister, almost, it seems, trying to sell Donald Trump on what Japan has done since he became president of the United States in the form of investment, saying that they have invested something to the tune of $24 billion, Japanese companies, into the United States since he became president, and in fact since the last summit between the two leaders. Shinzo Abe saying that Japanese companies have invested a further $1 billion. Now, this, of course, is something that Donald Trump has complained about. He is threatening to increase tariffs on Japanese car exports to the United States if they can't work out a trade deal in the next 6 months. One of the things he wants Japanese companies to do, in particular the auto industry, is to invest more in the United States in the form of building manufacturing plants there, and therefore being able to be in the position of hiring more American workers. So what we heard there from Shinzo Abe was clearly him saying to Donald Trump, we've already done a lot, we will continue to do more in the future, but you need to take notice of what Japanese companies have already done.
And Wayne, also a lot of discussion about abducted Japanese who were taken to North Korea in the 1970s and 80s. What more on that?
Yes, these Japanese citizens, as you say, were taken by North Korean operatives a few decades ago, the 70s and 80s, presumably to be trained as spies by the North Koreans. The North Koreans have returned some to Japan, but it's presumed that there are many more still unaccounted for. It's an issue that's very close to Japanese people, to the Prime Minister himself, and it was talked about a lot there over the past hour or so. The President Donald Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump have been meeting with family members of some of those abductees. This is the second time that they have done it, and Shinzo Abe, the Japanese Prime Minister, has made no secret of the fact that he wants to meet with the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. In the past, he has said that there's a precondition to that he would need a guarantee before going into a meeting with the North Korean leader that there would be substantial progress made on the issue of abductees. In the past, in the last month or so, he has certainly softened that stance, though, saying now, and he repeated that in that media conference, that he is willing to meet the North Korean leader without preconditions now, and he said that Donald Trump certainly supports that prospect.
That's Al Jazeera's Wayne Hay, who's following that visit for us. Today was day 3 of a 4-day visit. He'll be across that tomorrow for us as well. Thank you, Wayne, from Tokyo.